Oh, it's called the Lean Life Podcast. We've given it a name.
And I was that melon that commented now.
You want to know my life story? Or?
Go for it. Let's go for it.
He just finds your way of dealing with it, really. I think it's different strokes for different folks.
I think we all need to know the baby's name.
Maya.
Maya.
Where to the camera, darling?
At 15, like, hating how much how I looked and seeing so much, like, that was the era of, like, thigh gap.
Mental health was the main thing I was struggling with.
We'll dive into it a bit deeper as well. When you stopped, what happened?
Don't even like broccoli that much.
I'm always amazed by how cool this is every time we do it as well. Every single time. Yeah, it's amazing.
Just come in here. It's a silence. We're going to be on like episode 400. He's like, how cool is this? It's like, yeah, same place.
Hey guys, welcome to my podcast.
Which is now called...
Oh, it's called the Lean Life Podcast. We've given it a name, which is...
ChatGPT gave it a name.
Yeah, and it wasn't cringy.
Yeah, because it was that or Two Fit Dudes.
And then bringing our female clients. It wouldn't really work that, would it? But as you can see, we have got some cool guests. So we're going to introduce them in a non-awkward way. Bev, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Bev.
Amazing. And then we've also got...
Oh, am I introducing
Yes,
myself?
yeah.
I thought you just said you
I
were
know.
introducing us. Hi, I'm Ciara.
Nice. So what we'll do is, Bev, can you give a brief introduction as to who you are and how you came to work with us?
You want to know my life story? Or?
Go for it. Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's start with your birth.
My birth, yeah. You want to know my job? Okay, you know, everything. So I work at the NHS at East Surrey Hospital in the dental department. I found Clayton when I was driving back from an eyebrow appointment, and his car was in front of me with his funny little stickers on it, advertising himself, which he didn't think worked, and it clearly did. And that was... God, when was that?
That was...
I started with you in 2022.
It was, yeah. 2 years
so
ago.
there you go. Long time.
And you're still here.
I'm still here.
With a baby as well.
Yeah, with a baby. Little Maya.
I think we all need to know the
Wave to
baby's name.
camera. Maya.
Maya.
Wave to the camera, darling.
And then, and Ciara, would you like to tell us some more about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ciara. I am a nurse, and I started working with Clayton. How long ago? It feels about 6 months ago.
6 September, yeah. So about 6 months.
6
Yeah,
months.
about 6 months.
And I found Clayton through a Instagram post
As you did.
that had one of my friends tagged in it. So yeah, I just reached. Well, I did the thing that he puts on all the end of his Instagram posts saying, "If you want to change, comment now." And I was that melon that commented now.
Here you are, part of the cult.
And then got bombarded with another message from him. Yeah,
And now here we are on a podcast.
we are.
Come a
6
long way
months
from your
on.
car magnets.
Car magnets.
I can't believe they worked, genuinely. I just remember him rocking up at work one day with these tiny little magnets on. My favourite, though, was when he didn't clean his car, and so they'd just be covered in soot.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I'm
I
wondering
don't
if I've
even
got
know
a
what
picture
that
still.
says.
Let me check.
There was sometimes I'd leave the car park and put them on the wrong way up, so they were upside down as well.
You did do that, you absolute bastard. All right, so let's start with Bev. So Bev, what were you struggling with before you came to work with us?
Mental health was the main thing I was struggling with. So I had 2 miscarriages before I met Clayton, one which was quite traumatic. It sent me down a rocky road of alcohol and food to comfort myself, mixed in with a company that didn't really appreciate me or help out at all. So I needed something to pick me up and get me back on track, and hence working with Clayton has produced a little one and a happy mummy. So yeah.
Bloody hell, yeah, I forgot that.
In my garden with my first PT session with you after falling down the stairs in Rhodes in the ancient ruins. Dodgy ankle, but we still managed to crack on and get it done. So yeah. And then we didn't realise we were pregnant and wondered why the waist measurements were going up, so I couldn't fit into my wedding dress. So that was fun.
I remember the stress. Like, Clayton, I'm doing everything spot on, things aren't changing. And I gave him one of my wanky answers. Oh, baby, you just need to consistency pays off, and then he told me you're pregnant. I was like, this makes total sense now.
It makes sense now. I was like, I don't understand why my waist keeps going up every week. I can't understand it.
We're growing in the right direction.
Yeah. He was like, it's water retention, it's this, it's that. I'm like, okay. And then the same thing next week, an inch or so up, and I'm like, what's going on? But yeah.
And when you said you were struggling with your mental health, what do you mean, Bev?
I was just very, very low. It's to describe losing a child before you've even had the child. It's something I never wish upon anybody, and it does affect you a hell of a lot. And to not have the support of the people that you've been working with for 16 years, it's just they're kind of like your family. You spend more time with them than you do with your own like husband or whatever. And to not have the support from them was just shit, if I'm going to say it.
You can push this way, you have to.
So it wasn't the best. And I think during lockdown was even worse, when obviously everyone's mental health took a hit. And we started doing the Joe Wicks workouts, the school stuff. And that brought the mental health up. And I was like, right, there's obviously something behind this. You need to get your serotonin levels and stuff up. So yeah, I just decided I needed to employ somebody to make me fitter.
Employ someone. Work for me now, bitch.
Just any PT with car magnets.
Yes.
There's not many around with car magnets. No. I've not seen many.
Funny that.
And we fast forward to now, Bev, as well. And describe how you feel now.
Do you know what? I am ecstatically happy, especially to have this little one with me. So yeah, and wedding day was just amazing as well. Just amazing. Even though I had to have it altered slightly, even though we were trying to skinny down to get into it and had to open it up a little bit, it was still, I still looked amazing. So yeah, you've done a great job in trying to get me how I am now and to get me back to how I was before.
I remember as well, when I first got even things like smiling as well. Like the big smile you have now wasn't.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, definitely not. What are you doing?
It's amazing. And Nick, you've struggled with mental health in the past, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah. I think everybody does at some point, be it they need it medicated or they need counselling or they just find their own remedies. I think it's a big thing. I think particularly after lockdown as well, or even during lockdown, because I thought I was having a great time in lockdown. Furlough pay, Call of Duty Warzone with
coffee
the boys,
mornings.
Coffee morning, absolutely unreal. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, "Oh, this isn't good." So yeah, it's all right, but you just find your way of dealing with it. Really, I think it's different strokes for different folks, isn't it? But yeah, it's interesting how the lockdowns affected it. 'Cause it's so rife at the moment as well now, even after, God, what are we 2, 3, 4,000 years after lockdown? It feels like an entire other life, but people are still battling with it, and I think it's just, it's quite a sad state of affairs. But I think there are things that people can do to help themselves with it. But I think the big one is just reach out, talk to people. I hate saying it 'cause it's so cliche, but the first step to solving any problem is understanding that there is a problem, and then go from there. Yeah.
And what do you think is the biggest cause if there's loads of different reasons why, but what do you think is the main one with mental health, the main cause of it?
I think it varies, because you can have mental health triggers that are based on past trauma, but then you do have people that suffer from mental health just because the factory up in the brain is the workers are on strike. There is just, there are people that I've met and spoken to. They're like, I don't know why I feel this way. It's like, well, has anything happened? They're like, no, I had a great life. It's just like, well, I think it's a variety of things. And I think, you'll get people that blame social media. You'll get people that blame past trauma. You'll get people that blame pretty much anything. It's the same as if you sneeze. If you Google, I've sneezed twice, Google's like, you have 2 weeks to live. So it's the same with that kind of thing. Is there's so many elements to it, but I don't know. I think the biggest cause nowadays is because it's so spoken about. People are more aware of it, and when you become aware of it, you then start to acknowledge that there's probably like trigger warnings that you might have it. So I don't think it's probably controversial, but I don't think that it's any bigger than it always has been. I just think we're more aware of it than we ever have been, in the sense that, like, think back to like previous generations and stuff. They'll have like that stiff upper lip, and they'll just be like, "Oh, it's normal. Crack open a bottle of wine and go for it." And then you have this generation of functioning alcoholics that just like ignored the problem. Whereas now, because we're aware of it, I think it's just a case of people acknowledge it more, that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't really know the answer. I'm just aware that it's more common now than it has been. But I think it's population increase, cost of living doesn't help. Post-lockdown, you've now got generations that are probably dealing with like body image issues, financial issues, because again, the world's more accessible, which is great, but it's also not great at the same time. There's a multitude of reasons that I won't bore us all with. But, yeah.
I mean, and like Ciara as well, like, do you think social media plays a part in it maybe as well? Like,
I think massively. I remember growing up, being in school, like, and seeing all those people. It used to be like in magazines, and then you'd see it on social media and on TV and everything. And I remember being like, at about 15 feeling so like hating how I looked so much that I ordered something off of probably what is now Shein, like some plastic wrap that you wrapped around your legs that was supposed to help you lose fat overnight. Like, obviously it was never going to work. Like, when does cling filming your legs ever work? But,
just corsets around your entire body.
Yeah, at 15, like hating how I looked and seeing so much, like that was the era of like thigh gaps and like the influencers that are now like not so much, like Zoella and all of those people that look like that, not because of what they eat or how much they exercise, because that's how their body is. Like, and someone like, I will probably never look like that, regardless of how amazing you are, Clayton. Like, we're not all built the same. And so to try and actually change how my body is with some cling film was kind of how messed up it all was, I guess. And even now, like, it's so easy to recognize things on social media and be quite, I guess you probably know this from me, like, I'm quite cynical when I see progress pictures on things, because so many things are altered on social media, and it's like, oh, it's lighting, it's how they stand, and to be able to distinguish between what is actual real proper progress and something someone's worked hard for and what is just a bit of Photoshop is so difficult sometimes, and it's not always easy to recognize those things, and a lot of people really don't, and they think that sometimes something that someone has photoshopped is an achievable goal when it's not. So yeah, I think social media has a lot to answer for, especially now there's so many people, like, we didn't have access to it till we were like mid-teens, and now kids are on that from like primary school to see. It's quite sad, really.
Yeah, that's always been one of my bugbears with the fitness industry and certain fitness companies and stuff, is I'll admit it's better now, but like it's like, oh yeah, great body positivity, and it's like, you are aware you're the cause of that fucking problem.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what really aggravated me about some companies. I'm less aggravated now because I'm a little bit less cynical than I used to be, but like, they'd be posting all of these amazing physiques and everything on social media, getting shit tons of likes, shit tons of followers, and then absolutely annihilating people's perception of a healthy body, absolutely ruining people's self-confidence and body image and mentality. And then they suddenly turned like a full 180 and was like, oh no, here's some healthy bodies. And it's like, Look at us, we're being really body positive. It's like, if you go back to your post 2-3 years ago, you are the sole cause of this problem.
And I feel like it's so hard to say, like, it's not good enough to say, oh, well, we show plus size models, and your plus size models to be like a normal size person.
Yeah.
Like, because your other models are really, really slim, to say that someone that's like a size 12 and wearing a medium, that is not a plus size model. That is not someone that represents like a large portion of the population. And to have that screamed over your social media, promoting your clothing and your teas and all this other rubbish that they promote, it's just not, like, it's not good enough. And even though it's quite, like, a lot of companies being called out for it, like I'm sure like ASOS and stuff, where they've had like plus size models, but actually they've just photoshopped them to be bigger. Like, and you just think, so it's like a scam, isn't it? Like, it's a scam. At least now it's slightly better. Like, you go into Nike and Gymshark and stuff, the stores, they do have all their like models with the clothes on aren't all tiny. They are of varying shapes, sizes, heights and things. It's not as bad as like you need to be a size 0 to walk down a catwalk and things anymore, but it's still not representative of the general public. And a lot of people say, oh well, you can't have a massive model, like you can't have a really plus size model because then that's like encouraging it. But actually I think it makes people feel included, because if all you're seeing is someone that's like a size, whatever size, you know, let's not put a number on it, but if a much smaller size than you are, then it's really hard to see yourself getting to that point. You need to have like attainable goals, things that keep you going. Like, I can see that I'm represented by this person, and now I'm like this person, and now I'll be like that person, and not I've just got to get all the way there, which is like 20 steps away.
Yeah, I think that's always been one of the biggest problems with the fitness industry as well, is like it does come across so elitist.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, when they come to the gym or when they want to join the gym, now I'll admit, like, when I was a PT and everything, I was on the gym floor with a bunch of other mid-20-year-old PTs all in pretty good shape. Like, it does look intimidating. And we probably didn't appreciate that at the time. But people seem to have this perception, because of those physiques and because of how they perceive a gym and everything, that you need to be fit to get fit. And then they're like, oh, well, I can't even walk on a treadmill for 5 minutes, so what's the point in starting? And it's like, because you need that starting is starting.
Yeah,
It is,
yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the thing, like a lot of social media I've seen, and I said this to Clayton before, like if you see a female on there with a post and it's like, this is how I've grown my glutes and I've done this exercise, and you think, and it takes a lot for you to like logically work out, actually, I'll look through your profile and I'll see that 3 years ago you were already that size, and you've done a lot of exercise and things to gain muscle in certain areas and to become fitter and stronger and things, but you were not on a journey, the same journey that I'm on. Like, you're not on the journey where you've lost loads of weight to look like that. You're almost coming from the other direction. And so to then promote like a service, or to promote a food group or a drink or something, and say this is to help you get where I am, it's like pulling the wool over people's eyes. It's not representative of actually a lot of journeys people go through.
100%. I think also with those social media posts is, I mean, there's leggings and there's t-shirts, like leggings that like push your bum up, and there's also t-shirts that now highlight like pectoral regions, and like they cut off just above the triceps so you can see that kind of like horseshoe shape and stuff. I mean, they get a pump on before they get the photo. I mean, the photo shoot that I did a few years back, there's actually I'll probably send them to you now, I've said it, but there's 2 photos. There's one of me not flexing and there's one of me flexing, and it literally taken 2 seconds apart, but the difference is I have a pump. So one of them I look absolutely shredded, the other one I'm in good shape but I look normal. But yeah, I do get what you mean. There's a lot of fitness influencers, and I think there's a lot of, this is one thing I always tried to avoid doing as a coach, is because I came from that range of, I was quite skinny and built muscle. When I have clients that speak to me about weight loss and stuff, I know how to do it, but it's important that I highlight the fact that I don't come from that side of things. I come from the other side. So when you're speaking to them, that's why you always speak to them about how they're feeling, their mental health, and you try not to relay it back to you too much, because while I had the struggles of putting size on, and while I had like the mind, like the mental health kind of body image of like, oh, I'm too scrawny, I'm never going to be muscular, kind of like the men's side of things, I need to appreciate that mentality that I have is not the mentality that they had, because they're on the different end of that.
Do you know what else as well? Like you said earlier, like you don't get very riled up. Right? I get riled up by the point where I want to actually punch people. Like it fucks me off. I'm very like, you're very calm and chill. I am literally like, I am right, and these people are fucking wrong. To the point, obviously, I'm not that arrogant, but there are so many people promoting fad fucking diets, and it winds me up. And every single client I've had has come from that sort of background. At least someone has tried somewhere the Juice Plus diet, or the fucking Herbalife, or my worst one, the Slimming World, because on the surface, it doesn't look evil on the surface, but when you get into the nitty gritty of it, right? If unlimited potatoes and pasta, right? Two of the most calorie dense foods, and you can have as much as you want of it.
Because they've got no sins.
They've got no sin points, exactly. So you're now counting food as a sin, but the food you're eating unlimited of is fucking you over.
Who doesn't want to eat unlimited pasta? Yeah. Like, it's almost, it's like the worst perpetuating cycle ever. Like, you can have unlimited pasta. Okay, no problem. Like, is that a challenge? Because I can eat unlimited pasta. Like,
I wonder why I gained loads of weight.
Like, and I heard something, I can't remember where I heard it, but it is that, like, those companies, their most money is not from new clients. Their most money is from clients that, because once you reach it, it's free or whatever, and then as long as you sustain that, and then when you fail that, you have to then repay to like rejoin their service. And that is where their money comes from. It's people that have basically yo-yoed out of it, like almost hit something, achieved it, and then reverted back, and that's where their money comes from, those people coming back. And that's ridiculous. It's like you should not have repeat clients almost on that kind of thing. Nope. And that's where their money comes from.
Yeah, I know quite a few people who have done Slimming World, and when I used to work in my old place, there was a couple, and they were like, oh yeah, I've done this is so many sins. I'm like, right, okay, but are you actually going to lose weight with this? And then they give it up a couple of months later, and you're just like, well, that's the reason why.
It just makes no sense as well. Like, how can a banana be one sin if you have it whole, and then if you mash it, it's like different sins? Like, it's the same. It's the same piece of food. Like, and also, if I put it in my mouth, it is then mashed. So if I mash it with a fork, is that different to me chewing it?
There was a guy on Instagram, the fitness chef. He did the same thing. It was just like, so this is a sin, but if I mash it up, but then I put it in my mouth and mash it up,
it's like so dumb. Honestly, those things. I mean, before I started with you, I did about 3-4 months. Probably not even that long. It felt like 3 to 4 months. It was probably like 3 to 4 weeks of an online thing called Noom. I'm such a cynical person as well. I think it's my job, but I'm so cynical. And I was like, I am never doing Weight Watchers. I am never doing Slimming World. I was a bit like, I'm never doing any of these things. They're so dumb. And then I signed up for Noom. It's all about what's calorie dense. If it is calories, you're looking at what's calorie dense, what you're putting into your body. You've got to do it, and at 5 minutes of mindfulness in the morning. And it like was supposed, in my head when I signed up for it, I was like, this is much better than Slimming World. Look, I can eat what I want, but I have to think, is it calorie dense or not? Fuck. And then you do 5 minutes of mindfulness, and you do your little exercise tick box, and you drink your water. And I thought, this is brilliant. And then I realised that I was on like 1,300 calories on what was calorie dense or not. And it's like, if you eat a family-sized bar of chocolate, you're gone for the day. That was it. See ya. There was like nothing else as well on it. And then when you logged it, it would bring up something like it like some electronic thing telling you like, oh, we've seen that you've logged something that's quite calorie dense. No. Have you thought about trying these other foods? No, Noom, I haven't. I wanted some chocolate, I ate it, and now you're telling me I can't eat anything for the rest of the day.
Can you imagine you log it? Like, oh my God. Can you imagine you log it on our app? And you just get like a message from me going,
sorry,
I'm watching you.
Yeah.
I know what you've just eaten.
But it was
You're a bad person. You are going to hell. Imagine that.
You fucked up.
Big time.
But like, that's horrendous. Like, I mean, the positives that you can draw, I know that's probably controversial, but the positives you can draw from those is the positives that you can draw from coaching societies and stuff like that is ultimately one of the big things that you need in order to help you achieve your goal is a supportive community. And I think going back to you speaking about mental health and stuff, anything you go through in life, be it good, be it bad, if it affects your mental health or if it affects your body image and stuff, if you have a good community of like-minded people, even if they're not like-minded, if they're people that just understand,
and are supportive towards it, then,
regardless of what you're dealing with, it's not going to solve the problem, but it's one of the many stepping stones to solving that problem.
It's all you need sometimes is someone just to be like, it's okay, we can get through this. And that's all you need. And if you don't have that, then it just fucks your head even more.
And I think that's one of the things that those fad diets do well. One of the few things they do well is they create a good community. The problem is they then just don't. They create a little cult. One of us, and they're all just mashing their potatoes. But like, it's one of the many stepping stones to solving the problem. Obviously, with that, you need to start to implement like habits, sustainability, yada yada yada. We sound like a broken record if I go on about it, but I think the community side of things is huge for helping anybody that's dealing with like battling with mental health or body image issues, or even if they're having a really, really good fitness journey, they'll hit a plateau point. Like I've hit plateau, you've hit plateau, we've all hit plateau at some point, but it's having a supportive, structured community behind you to keep you on board. Otherwise, you'll just be like, well, not going to get any better, am I? And then you drop off entirely.
So I'm going to sound really old now. Back in my day, when these youngsters were still, in mummy's womb, there was no body image issues in my day.
Well, if you look at like photos of like Marilyn Monroe and stuff, like she was an absolute icon.
She was plus size.
But if you had her in today's modern society and stuff, she'd be considered plus size.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like,
what went so wrong that there was that period of time in like the 90s, the noughties, where being a woman and being like American size 0, which is like a UK 4 or 6 or something, and walking around where you can physically see someone's like bones was okay. Like that was the ideal. Those people walked on catwalks and they were all over like the magazines and the TV, and they were who people were aspiring to be like. Like, for what reason? Like, why do people think that was attractive or nice? Like, why did we suddenly go from one end of like not even one end of the spectrum, looking like, iconic people like Marilyn Monroe and those types of celebrities and icons, to suddenly becoming like, we want to look like all these people that haven't eaten ever.
Well, if you look back at like not many years ago, but a few years ago, like as you said, the body type was like super skinny. Guys were supposed to be like super lean and everything, and then girls were supposed to be super skinny. And now, because the gym, I mean, I think it's great that the gym culture's taken off, but now the gym culture's taken off. You've got all of these guys that are like, oh, if you weigh under 200 pounds, you're a girl. And it's like, get into a ring with Dustin Poirier and say that. He's 155 and he'll maul most people. So, but then you've also got like, with females and stuff, you've got like the muscle mummy physique and stuff like that, which again, it's great. I fully back it and get behind it. But it's now at the point where if you are super skinny or if you're not, unless you kind of fit that mold that society has deemed as the physique to have, you're kind of an outcast, which I think we're getting better at it. But I think the damage has already been done. As I said, I go back to these gym companies that are all like, oh yeah, well, it's okay to be plus size, or it's okay to not have lower abs, and it's okay for a guy to not have veins popping out of his forehead and stuff like this. But it's like, it's great that you're trying to alter the image, but you created that image. You are the problem, and I get that you're trying to fix it, but you can't be kind of... It's when people are like, oh, this company's so groundbreaking, it's so heroic, and I'm like, that company's part of the fucking problem.
Yeah.
But that's just my mind on it. moaning non-stop about the fitness industry.
It's so hard because the fitness industry is at a point where it's on its knees a little bit. There are so many people that have an opinion on everything, right? And everyone's got different opinions. Like the bodybuilders will say no carbs because if you want to get super lean for photo shoot shape, like I did cut my carbs down to an unhealthy level, short term, not sustainable. But the bodybuilders will think that's sustainable and they'll promote that to everyone, like chicken and broccoli, for example. Like there's people like the bloody Francis fucking fitness bloke who had the audacity to message me and say I was shit at my job. It's like, you're putting me with chicken rice, fuck you. And look, you get a quick result, you'll get a good before and after, and then they'll leave and they'll just put it all back on and they'll come back, which is bad. If you're an online coaching service getting people coming back all the time, that's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah.
And then you get like gyms that just put into a 12-month contract and then don't give a shit about how you are afterwards, and you get like females who've like got super jacks because they've lifted some weights but they've done other stuff, and then women come to us going, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get super big. It's like, you're not going to. But if all you do is cardio, I promise you your knees are going to kill you by the time you're like 30.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it speaks volumes about coaches slagging off each other and everything. I know I'm sat here and I basically moaned about the entire fitness industry, but it still doesn't negate the fact that I'm a big believer in do what works for you.
Yeah.
Some people will want a coach that gets them to eat chicken, rice and broccoli and get super shredded because they want to go on stage or because that's the lifestyle they want to live. Great, that's great. And there'll be people that come to us and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to live that lifestyle, and so we'll show them how to have potatoes without mashing them. Yeah, you don't have to mash your banana to have it. But there will be some people that also just need that structure of like sin points and stuff. If it works for you and you enjoy it, and I don't mean like, oh yeah, it's all right, I can live with it. I mean genuinely enjoy it. Like it's not a chore to do it. It's as simple as that. And I think that's why having a variety of different coaches out there is good. But that's why I think that it can be very toxic, because one coach is like, oh, well, if you get with me, you'll get results. But that person's shit at their job. And it's like, they're not shit at their job, dickhead. They just have a different approach to you. Like, not everybody wants the Ant Middleton, beast mode, Spartan lifestyle. If you do, great. But I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to have a fucking ice bath and then read 5 minutes of gratitude books. No, I'm going to snooze my alarm 5 times, neck an espresso and crack on with my life. But it works for me. And if it works for you, I think you should do it. And I think that's where that community comes in, because you'll have a community of like-minded people that all have a very similar approach to how they want to achieve their goal that support you. Yeah. But yeah, coaches slagging each other off. I mean, do what you want, really, but I've got better things to do in my life.
It also, so we talk about like things that work for you as well, and you two might agree with as well. Like you can trust it in the past that it can work to a certain degree. Like Ciara, I know you tried a certain gym company, which we'll go into in a second, okay? And you would probably say it worked to a degree. You got results, right?
Yeah. I hated my life, hated them. I don't think I hated people. I mean, I don't hate many people in my world, but I do. And I mean, I don't hate them now, but I hated seeing their face the times I needed to see them. Like if I could physically have assaulted them, I probably would have. Like, they were just horrible. Not like as people they were fine, but you know, like the job that they were doing, the job I was paying them to do as well, was what I hated so much. Like I just and it didn't make me want to continue it. Obviously I stopped, so that gives a lot of indication.
And then we'll dive into it a bit deeper as well. When you stopped, what happened?
So I basically met them through my parents. My parents signed up to this gym, kind of PT gym place, and they were getting results. You know, my parents are much older than me, in a much different thing. They've both run marathons. They're relatively fit people. And they were going, my dad went there because he had a knee operation. So he was more going there for rehab and for strength training. And my mum kind of went along for, you know, just general fitness and things. So I went there. I don't have the best relationship in terms of food, mental health and body image when it comes to my parents, probably more so my mum. So that was quite difficult. So I joined there. My parents actually paid for me to go there. And it was before we were going for this big, amazing holiday to Florida, like trip of a lifetime, that they were taking all of us there. Like, we wanted to go for years, so all of us were going. And it was a bit like, well, you don't want to look fat in the pictures, do you? So, and I didn't, you know, I felt, I really despised how I looked, how I felt. I was having to buy clothes that were bigger. I was actively, you know, not wearing things like shorts because I was like, I just really hated how I felt. And so I was like, well, that's true. Like, you know, I don't want to look fat in the picture. And it's going to be hot and I want to be able to wear clothes that I don't feel horrible in. And, you know, I don't want to cover up. So I went, and it was like 6 weeks program. And in 6 weeks, you will lose kind of thing all over. So I went, and I had to turn up 3 times a week to a PT there. And it was I think 45-minute hour session around work. As I said, I'm a nurse. So it was like either 6 a.m. in the morning or late in the evening after a day at work. They gave me a meal prep program that was very like chicken, rice, broccoli, like don't eat this, do eat that. Make sure you're drinking skim milk. I mean, I've not touched skim milk. I did lie about that because there was no way I was putting that in my
like
body.
Water, isn't it? It's horrible.
No to that. I mean, sorry to them. So I did pay you and I lied. But it was kind of, that was the principle, wasn't it? Like I just couldn't bear it. So I actively was telling them I was doing something that I wasn't, because I just couldn't do it. And so I'd go and I'd eat, you know, as much best as I could. And I also live at home. So my parents followed a similar thing and they cooked a lot. So I ate a lot of what they were eating anyway, which kind of fit the mark enough. And I'd go, there was nothing on there about my water intake, which was relatively good anyway. Nothing on there about my day-to-day steps or anything that I was doing outside of the 3 hours that I was there. So it was a bit like, you come for 3 hours and you're going to turn out to be like this, which now I realise is like, you know, you can't just turn up to the start line of a marathon and win it, like run it. You've got to actually do the process. So I go, and it was like, you've got to do 20 burpees. You've got to run to that lamppost. It was like peeing with rain. You've got to run to that lamppost and run back. You've got to be back in a minute. Me?
20 burpees.
I was like the person at the back of the I was like the person at the back of the PE class, because I was like, this is not for me. I'm not, no. Right, me and running, we don't have a relationship at all. So I was like, okay. And it was a small gym. There were other people there, but it was very much like eyes are on you. Like it was 1-to-1, and we're watching you. Like, I've seen you've not done that, but you've done 18 burpees. You need to do 2 more. And you'd be like crying, like, I can't do it anymore. Carry on.
Like boot camp.
It was like boot camp 3 times a week. And I was like, okay. And you know, when you're doing it and you think, naively, you think, I'm going to get there. Like, it will be okay. Like, I'm 4 weeks in. My holiday's in 2 weeks. I must, like, in the mirror, you're thinking, I'm going to be great. Like, don't know I think it's going to happen overnight on week 6. I must like, woo. But it wasn't happening. And but I hated it. Do you know, like, and I hated what it meant for those 3 hours a week. I hated that if I went home and there was crisps or chocolate or even something like a hot chocolate or, you know, whatever it was, that I would feel bad for eating something that you were supposed to enjoy, like in moderation. You know, like, why were they making me feel like I was the worst person ever because I'd have a bag of crisps? And so it was like, okay, so we go to the cinema and you have water. Sorry? That kind of thing. So it made me almost hate myself more. Anyway, I went on the holiday. I had these before and after pictures. And to be fair, the before and after pictures were, like, there was a difference. Clearly there was a difference because I'd been eating really horrible food that they'd wanted me to eat. And I'd done this exercise 3 times a week for 6 weeks. Like, there was a difference. But I've probably achieved more of a difference and I have achieved more of a difference and a sustainable difference in the last 6 months. And I'm not going back that way. Whereas after this holiday, I mean, I went to America for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I probably gained it all back within 48 hours. Like,
it's when you have portion size out there and you eat what you can eat, and then you look at your plate and you're like, it doesn't look like I've eaten anything.
Also, this place, I don't know if anyone's ever done one of these things, but there's a machine where you stand there in your like sports bra and leggings, and you stand in this machine and you have to hold it, and it wobbles and it scans you like a 360 scan, and it tells you how much of your body is fat.
Yes, yeah.
I did not like that number I did not need to know that number. I didn't want to see a breakdown of to millimeters how much each part of my body was. I didn't want to see that. And when I'd done all of that, I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was probably expecting that lovely large number to go really small. But when they redid that scan, it had hardly changed. And so I was a bit like, I've done all of this and I've lost like 1% of my body fat. No thanks. So yeah, I didn't go back. It cost a lot of money. Thankfully, I didn't pay for that. That was my parents, so thanks for that. But it didn't help it made me very wary of going to another kind of coach, PT, and when I saw the before and after photos that they used to post, I knew, because I knew some of those people that went there, I knew that wasn't what they looked like. I knew it was deception on their things, and when they posted my pictures, I was a bit like, hang on, that's they are my pictures that I've sent you that you've posted, but that's not
the result.
That's not that same thing. Yeah. That's not
they
it.
Clearly edit the photos.
Yeah, and what they're writing in the comment and the description, this person has lost this much and is loving life. I'm thinking, that's not me. You're lying. Yeah. And so I knew that wasn't right. So when I saw the post that made me join Clayton, I was very I think I even asked you this in the first call, are your photos actually legit? Because I don't think I can go through that whole thing again where it's actually hang on, this is all just a lie. And you're gonna work me hardcore and I'm gonna hate every minute of my life, and it's just a lie. So yeah, I'm not gonna say who they are, but don't join them.
Oh, you'll have to tell me after the podcast. I'm intrigued.
Can you imagine a fitness website or a PT website where it's like the most honest comments though? So it's Nick lost 30 pounds. Hated his life.
They should put that honestly, because anyway, my parents stayed with them for a little while, and then after lockdown they went somewhere. They stopped because lockdown, and then they go now just to a normal gym because my dad's knee is much better. But I think that just that whole, they still exist. They have another branch. They're fairly successful in that sense, I guess, but I'm just not. It's like you were saying earlier, Nick, it's different people, it's what works for you. Not everything works for everyone, not the people that you meet, the coaches and things, and sometimes the system might work really well, but actually if you don't gel with the person, then it's not for you. And so it is really hard. A lot of people yo-yo in and out of lots of different systems and things, trying to find what works for them, because so many things, it's like people, isn't it? You don't get on with everyone in the world, so why would you get on with all these PTs, coaches, gyms and stuff? Not everything is set out for you.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean gonna slag it off again, but the fitness industry is so fashionable and it's so driven to be sexy and attractive and stuff that it's almost like if you don't fit that mold, then be gone, fiend kind of thing. But no, I mean, I'll forever be just if it works for you, you enjoy it, then just crack on. Because ultimately, that's what fitness is. Because if fitness for you is doing 20,000 steps, eating chicken, rice, and broccoli, training twice a day, great, crack on. Because it'll do wonders for your mental health. Because that's how you like to live. But for other people, it's not. And I think fitness encompasses your mental health.
I'm no, done. Don't even like broccoli that much.
That's the big thing. I think when we talk about fitness and when we talk about wellness, I mean it's not just physically fit, it's mentally fit as well. And I think that's, again, it's spoken about, but it's almost like people talk about, fitness is great for your mental health, and your mental health, having an improved mental health will make you fitter, being fitter will improve your mental health. They kind of see it as two separate things, but your mental health and your physical health are the exact same thing. So rather than go mental health and physical health, you just go health in general. If you are healthy, you will be all right. Yeah, for the most part. It depends on the person. But
I think that's the thing, and it also links so much into almost like eating disorders as well, because people think I will get to that point and I will feel better, and it's like that perpetual cycle, isn't it? Actually your mental health is telling you, and your eating disorder is telling you that you need to get to that point, and then you get to that part and you're not actually that happy, and so then you're constantly chasing something that isn't healthy. You know, eating disorders aren't. So you're constantly chasing something, trying to be happy, but actually it's the whole cycle, the system, and the eating disorder and your mental health that is what is making you unhappy.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get to that point because that's how vile eating disorders are.
Yeah.
I think that's where
I
a
love
good
food too
coach.
much.
I think that's where like a good coach and a good community come in, because I think one of the things that a lot of PTs get into the habit of doing, and I did this as well when I was a PT, is you're so driven to get results because results will sell and selling makes you more successful, that you almost step away from what you're actually a coach for, and that's to educate.
Yeah.
And I think so many coaches now forget that like eating disorders and things are
Real.
rife and they are real. And I think you're, as a coach, when you decide to be a fitness coach, PT, online, or whatever form you want to do, you have a responsibility there of someone's mental well-being. You have a responsibility to educate them, but also to make sure that you don't have them develop body issues further than what they might already have. You have a responsibility to tailor-make those calories and explain to them, look, your calories will be too low if you do this, because if you end up just doing a generic calculation, you'll end up putting someone on 1,300 calories, nearly killing them. And because you're the expert that they've gone to, I say expert, because you're the expert they've gone to, they just trust what you say. Yeah. And I think, you know, in order to sell, you want results, but sometimes a result isn't going to be the super shredded before and after photo. Sometimes the result is just the person has a better understanding on themselves and their fitness and lifestyle.
Yeah, before I joined with Clayton, I used to cycle to and from work every day and I cut carbs. And I wondered why I felt dizzy at work and like I did.
Really?
Yeah.
You cut carbs?
I cut carbs and running up and downstairs every 10 minutes for patients, along with the cycling to and from work. I was just like, why do I feel really dizzy? Clearly I've not eaten enough. So then I'd eat more stuff and it wasn't the right stuff.
It's because you weren't mashing your banana.
Yeah. Well, I don't like bananas, if I'm honest. So
Yeah. I think those things, they prey on vulnerable people and your insecurities, like massively. I was saying this the other day, like if as a person, like, I mean, I don't know if you feel the same, Bev, but as a white middle class brought up big female, you know, in a fairly well off area that has been educated, that's gone to university, like I'm a nurse, so I feel like I have quite a good oversight of health and biology and background and things. It's so easy to think I'm not going to do that and to kind of almost pull away the wool and be like, actually, no, that is absolute bullshit. And like, I'm going to go for this. But even as I said, like, I was sucked into something like Noom, and it just goes to show that if you were from maybe a less privileged background, or if you really are suffering with like your mental health and your insecurities and all those things that makes you much more vulnerable, and you know, you might have less financial security and all those different things, of course, like, why wouldn't you think, oh, drinking booty for £20 is going to fix my problems? Like, why would you pay someone so much more money to do like a really long process to do something if you're like, no, that says that I can lose weight if I drink that twice a day for 20 quid? Like, it's appealing to people that feel like they have no other options and are maybe in less privileged or backgrounds and things like that. Like, it is so bad. It's horrific.
Since having this one, there are so many posts that come up in my feed of like magic creams that get rid of your mum tummy and stuff, and you think to yourself, no, it doesn't firm up your skin. What firms up your skin is your biological makeup and eating healthy and doing exercise.
And it's normal as a teenage girl and as a female or anyone with female anatomy that, you know, being inclusive and all that,
big old gender group there.
Anyone that is on like birth control, which you're pushed basically into to go on from like, I think I started mine like 14, to gain weight and to your hormones to go mental for you to like actually become psychotic. So like that, they're appealing to those people. Like they're appealing to people that are on things that have made them like this. Like if someone had told me come off your birth control, you actually won't feel like you're losing the will to live every day. I would have done it years ago. Like, what? Sorry, why is it so normal to put something like that into your body that fluctuates your hormones so much, that makes you actually despise so many things? It makes you crave different things. It makes you want to eat certain food. It makes you actually just gain weight. That's one of the main side effects.
It is, yeah.
To gain weight. And it doesn't like the pill or the implant itself doesn't make you just gain weight overnight. Like it's how it affects all the different parts of your brain that makes you then obviously eat more and move less and have an unhealthy relationship with just like life. So then you do gain weight. It is ridiculous.
You know, when I came off birth control, the weight just dropped off and people were like, have you lost weight? I'm like,
No,
No, I
just
don't
took
know.
that
I don't
damn
know.
thing out of
Like,
my arm
yeah.
that's been ruling my life. And suddenly I was like, actually, I don't hate everyone and everything all the time. And I don't feel like I'm having a breakdown over absolutely nothing. Like I do not need to silently scream in a changing room, in a shop, because I can't cope with how I look, and the fact that something that I bought last month in that size now is not the size I'm buying. It's actually not me. It's that.
Is it true? I think my partner Hannah told me this, that I think it's the pill, or the contraceptive pill. Is it true that, I think it is, to be fair, that it hasn't actually, they haven't, you know how medication's always developing and evolving, they haven't changed it since something like
No,
the 80s.
probably
or something.
not.
Like it's
They
the
haven't.
exact same.
Probably not, yeah.
Like if you think about the progress of medicine and medication and stuff, the birth control pill that females are pushed to go on is the same one that they had back in like maybe even the 60s.
Yeah.
So long ago.
They
And
tried.
it's so bad for you.
Yeah.
Have you if you ever see a pack of it, just take out like the little slip.
Yeah.
It's not little. It's like
read the side effects.
it's like a
'Cause
Bible.
It comes in a package like that,
Yeah.
and then you start opening it up,
It's
and
all
you're like,
Just yeah.
and then it's like side effects
Yeah.
1, and then you're like side effect 1,472.
They
It's
trialed
awful.
and I'm sure a few years ago they did a bunch of medical trials of a male contraceptive pill, and they stopped it in the trial. It never got released because of the side effects to men.
Yeah.
So like, don't worry about us females that get put on it because you've got a heavy period. Like most 14-year-old girls have, like, it is so mismanaged and not talked about properly that you feel that you have a heavy period or pain and things. Actually, it's really normal. Like, your cycle at that age is really changing and developing. And yes, there will be a small portion of people that have medical things going alongside that are causing other issues. But on the whole, like, it is really normal to bleed for 5 days a month and be in pain. Like, it is really normal to be put on a pill that basically screws up every other part of your body to change one thing is ridiculous at that age. Like, at the age where you're still trying to figure out like life, and you're still trying to like attend school and do all those other things, and now suddenly you're on like this drug that's affecting your whole brain. And I read a book probably about 3-4 years ago called Your Brain on Birth Control by Sarah Hill, and I was having lots of other problems with my implant, where I had to have a brain scan because they thought I might have a brain tumor, and I had surgery to remove ovarian cysts, and like I went through a lot of different tests. Like, I can't even tell you how many internal ultrasounds, and I'm sure you've had one, Bev, and they are not pleasant, and like blood tests back and forth, like so many things. And I saw loads of consultants and loads of problems because I was having all these issues. And I was seen by a fair amount of male consultants, and I was told repeatedly, it is not your birth control. It's not your birth control. We have to do surgery to remove this ovarian cyst. We have to do these blood tests. We're going to send you for an MRI. Like, so much stuff. And then once that happened, I had this cyst out and I was like, okay. And then a few months later, I was like, something's still not right. And I went back and I was seen by a female and she said to me, I said, I've been told loads of times, I'm going to ask again, is this my implant? And she said, the type of cysts you've had are functional cysts and they are caused by hormones and they are caused by your implant. She said, I would take them out, either live with the cyst, live with it, it goes, fluctuates up and down, like during your cycle where your hormones are going up and down, or have your implant out. And I had my implant taken out and I have not had any problems on that side since. Yeah, and I was like, I've gone through surgery. Someone telling me in a GP surgery, you might have a brain tumor, we need to send you for an MRI scan. Jesus. Like, so many blood tests, like, because I've got this stupid implant. Like, what? And so I took that out, and as I took that out, I read this book, Your Brain on Birth Control, and I realised, like, suddenly everything just kind of clicked. Like, all those breakdowns I used to have, all those kind of, like, screaming and crying and, like, being a toddler, like, it's not normal at 20 to be, like, lying on the floor screaming because you can't get a top to fit you. Like, that's not normal to be, like, on the floor like a 2-year-old and, like, having a social anxiety, like, having a panic attack because you've got to turn up to somewhere and you don't know people. Like, it's not normal for that to be happening. And then for you to have this implant removed and suddenly none of that's happening is just the most bizarre thing. So, yeah, I mean, once that came out, that was, like, 3 years ago, I kind of feel like a normal person again. It's good.
Good. That's good.
Amazing. Let me just ask you guys all a question, just because just a question, just because most people will be thinking the same thing. So, what? And I'll ask all of you this, Nick. First of all, what do you think is the biggest reason people give up on their fat loss journey?
Oh my God, you put me on the spot again.
And
guess what, everybody? Nick's going to sound like a broken record again. It's because they don't enjoy it. It's because they don't enjoy it. It's not consistent. And they don't have the right support structure. They're promised the world and they're not delivered that. So I think the biggest thing is just find something you enjoy, be consistent with it, and ask for help.
Yeah.
Get a good support system behind you. Yeah. What are we, episode 4, and I still haven't changed my standpoint. I never will, because it is what it is. Sorry, fitness industry, but it's just, I'll die the realist here, but that is what it is. Yeah.
Okay, what do you think?
I think unrealistic expectations. I think, like I was saying, that if you are seeing things on social media, there's like, if you, in 6 weeks, you can look like this and you can lose this amount, it's not realistic, and it's not specific to you as a person. Like, not everyone is going to lose 10 kilos in 6 weeks. It's just not everyone's at that stage. And I think people being open and honest and saying that, I know you said to me, like, when we started, like, we will get to a point where you've reached something that you want to reach, but it's a journey, and actually you're overnight, in week 1, you probably lose a bit more than you will 3 and 4 because of all these things like water and that kind of shock that your body goes into and everything. But you shouldn't see something on social media and be like, I'm going to end up like that in this time frame. And so, yeah, people being more realistic would be much more helpful.
Yeah. And Bev, what do you think?
I agree with both of those comments, but I also think food. If you're not allowed to have the foods that you're used to having that you enjoy, then you're not going to want to continue doing stuff. If you're allowed that bit of chocolate every now and then, or you've got enough calories for it, then go ahead, have it. As long as it's within your calorie intake, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Just manage your expectations and don't drastically change your life for the sake of looking a little bit better in a bikini.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I get it. We all think people are looking at us, but ultimately, tragically, people only give a shit about themselves for the most part. And so nobody really is staring at you thinking, oh my God, because you look normal.
Yeah,
you do look normal. Unless you've got like an arm growing out of your head or something. You're very unlikely to turn that many heads. Like, sorry if you're watching this and you have got but like,
We're supposed to be inclusive.
it's for the most part, I think people have the worst image of themselves. You are your own worst critic, and if you can manage those expectations, take steps in the right direction to self-improvement, physically and mentally, you will start to feel better. And if you can continue to do that, and if you can enjoy it, and you have people in your corner, and you don't have to mash your bananas, and you can have that chocolate bar,
Exactly.
you will be fine. Just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God, chill the fuck out.
Yeah, and we'll finish up with, I agree with all that. You're all right. You're not wrong. But so let's do a little scenario, and I'll do a game to prove it. Let's say you're 90 kilos, and you want to lose 10 kilos. How many things do you think you're going to have to change to get to your goal? 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different things with your lifestyle?
Yeah, I think ultimately you need to look at your lifestyle. Why is it that you're that 90 kilos? Is it, look at your family. Are your family naturally big people? Because if they are, then genetically you are going to sit in the larger category. If your family aren't, and you look at your lifestyle and you're like, oh, I work a 9 to 5 job, my hobbies are all desk bound as well, and I eat like shit. Okay, how long have I been doing that for? Oh, for the last 10, 20 years. Okay, so it's probably lifestyle habits that have caused you to gain that weight. If I think, rather than panic, hop on Instagram and hop on Google and start thinking, oh my God, I need to buy an exercise bike and I need to do this, this and this. Look at the factors surrounding you. Look at your genetic makeup. Look at your lifestyle habits. And also look at the reason why you're now considering losing weight as well. Is it a comment somebody's made to you? Is it something you've seen in the mirror? Is it because you've fabricated this idealistic physique based on a film you've seen? Once you have an understanding of your why you want to do it, and also why you're in that position to begin with, you're immediately setting off on the right foot with that journey.
Yeah. Let's play a little game. So, say you're 90 kilos, right, and you've got to change 4 things. Okay. So, Nick, I'm going to time you as well using the soundboard. I want you to say the alphabet as quick as you can. A, B, C, blah, blah, right? I'm going to time you.
Watch me get it wrong. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. I think I got that
So
wrong.
it took you about
No, you got that
11
right.
seconds, right?
Wow.
11 seconds, right?
That did not. That was like 4.
Let's go in the middle.
I'll do the phonetic
It took you
alphabet.
4 seconds, right? So,
A, B, C, D.
in an ideal world, right? Focus on one thing, you can get to that one thing in the first week, right? But when you start trying to put everything together on day one, I'm going to prove this point now. I want you to say the alphabet again. At the same time, I want you to pat your head, and Ciara, I want you to shout at him. And I want to see how long it takes you. Are you ready for this?
No!
You're going to start, right? You're going to start patting your head. Start the alphabet. Ciara starts just talking at him.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K,
What are
L,
you
M, N, P,
saying?
Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
Ridiculous.
Nice. So that's
3 seconds. Ha!
So that's 3. That took you 8 seconds that time, so a little bit longer, okay?
Yeah.
And now I want you to, okay, so 4 different things. Okay, pat your head, say the alphabet, stop your feet, and then Ciara talk at him.
Exhausted.
Okay, ready? Go again.
Bet you
A,
didn't
B,
think
C,
we had to
D, E,
do
F,
this
G, H,
challenge
I, J,
whilst
K, L, M,
we're
N, P,
doing
Q, R,
this
S, T, U, V,
podcast.
W, X, Y, and Z.
So that took you about 10 seconds.
I'm knackered.
So the point is if you just focus on one focus at a time, okay, you're always going to get your goal. Nail one focus, move on to the next. If you are 90 kilos and it's because you've got bad diet, you don't drink water, you don't do your steps, you think your food's bad, you need to start cooking, and you need to exercise, and now you need to talk to Clayton every single day, it's really overwhelming, right? Now, you're quite a good example in the fact that you're strong-minded enough to get through that, okay? 1% of the population will be strong-minded to tackle everything in one go. But most people, me included, would have done that, got embarrassed halfway, messed up, and because they got embarrassed and felt like a failure, just given up. It's just really overwhelming.
It's because I get shouted at by people for a living.
And that's the thing, if you can just focus on one thing at a time, you're always going to get to your goal. Just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And that is my point that I was desperate to make a proven. Done.
I like how you message them saying there'll be a test and you threw it at me.
So, that is us done. That is episode 3 done.
Wow.
I just want to say thank you, Bev and Ciara, for your time today, especially on a Sunday.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And we're all done. Until next time. Woo!
That's good.
It stops that. We'll make sure we edit this bit out.
She decided to have a poo right at the last
Oh,
second,
no.
and I was like, I heard it, and I was like, I hope the mic hasn't heard that.
I hope the mic has. That is dropping the
amazing.
bomb in a nutshell.
I'm just going to... Ciara and Nick, just stay on. I'm just going to take a photo of you guys if that's all right, because this is actually quite cool. That was amazing. compared to the other ones, I just really thought like what's playing up. That was awesome.
I think we need an episode of positivity coming up though, because like every
Yeah, that
episode
was quite
so
negative.
far, I've just been like, fuck the fuck.
Sounds about
It's not
that.
actually that bad. When you watch it back, it's not bad. It's more of like an in-depth look into what clients actually feel like, people actually feel like. Like Ciara, yours was very honest. That is how 90% didn't feel.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think that's the important.
And also, we as blokes can't talk about things like birth control. Because why I have an understanding of it, we're getting it criticised to talk about it. You can, and it's great because females be watching that going, oh, never thought of that.
I annoy people by telling them just do what you want because they're like, I'm paying you for your expertise, and I'm like, yep, that's my expert opinion. If you don't want to be on birth control, if you don't want to eat this type of food, and if you don't want to run, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's nuts, isn't it?
I just thought it was like it almost makes me really angry now because I just think like why is it so normal for you to have to do it? Like why is it so like I get what it's for, you know, obviously, and I mean praise it did its job and I've not had a baby at 17 or something like it. That was what it was. That's what it's there for. But it was almost like you naively go onto it for one reason or another, and actually you don't get told all these things. And also at 14, 15, 16, like you don't really, if someone says, oh, well, there's side effects and it might make you, like some people feel a bit depressed on it and some people might feel like this. You're like, oh, I'll be fine. I mean, who reads side effects of paracetamol? No one.
It's because
But it can cause a lot of problems.
It's because it hasn't been spoken about for so long. Like, I think, as I said, I go back to what I said earlier, where the first step to solving a problem is acknowledging there's one in the first place. And because we're only just acknowledging there's a problem with things like birth control and stuff, it'll take time for it to eventually develop. But at the moment, we're in the early stages.
Yeah.
We could literally have you want to go and talk about stuff for hours because that was awesome. Because usually me and Nick here, we're like, we get to 15 minutes, we're thinking we have spoken about enough stuff.
Yeah.
It's so much more amazing when you have other people on as well, different opinions, and where they've come from, what they're struggling with.
It's good.
Didn't even really mention my mum.
Yeah, we could have done a more in-depth one, to be honest.
Would be nice to not get put on the spot again. So.
I was thinking of Ciara, and
every
also
time.
the fact you did it all as well, I was a bit annoyed about because I was like, I'm hoping this is a massive halfway through.
No, annoyingly, I have to know the phonetic alphabet rapidly for my job. So
I'm quite good at the phonetic
I should have
alphabet.
definitely proved my point now.
So I'll have like car number plates in front of me, and I'll have to read them out to controls and stuff like that. So
Wait, what do you do?
Dude, no redundancy.
I'm police.
Are you?
I am.
Ah.
Awesome. Most